Happy New Year.
Well, hello everyone. It's time for my annual Best and Worst Films of 2025 list. We'll start with the 10 worst films of the year. This was a hard list to compile because there were just so many candidates. But let's begin, shall we? And remember, this is my list of the 10 worst films that I paid money to see in the theaters.
Shall we begin?
At number 10, Final Destination Bloodlines. I know this movie made a lot of money. People seem to like it. But, come on, there's nothing new in these films. It's the same stuff every single time. A couple of the kills were okay, but honestly, I barely remember any of the characters. And I just remember it ending and thinking, okay, well, that was a waste of time. At number 9, Jurassic World Rebirth. If you thought Jurassic World Dominion sucked, well, you haven't seen Rebirth. Listen, the first Jurassic Park movie was one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time. And even Jurassic World is a pretty decent film. But this has to stop. These movies are terrible now. This movie was terrible. The plot sucked. The acting sucked. The effects were only so-so. I think it's just time to put these dinosaurs out of their misery and make them extinct again. At number 8, Minecraft. Yeah, I know, it's not made for me. It's made for teenage boys, and they really loved it. The theater experience was pretty cool with them shouting a bunch of crap. You know, chicken jockey. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But, you know, that was part of the problem. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And, you know, Jack Black, he was just playing Jack Black. Jason Momoa seemed to be having a good time, and he was the only decent character in the whole movie. But all in all, I just found it boring. I really wasn't entertained by it at all. At number 7, I Know What You Did Last Summer. No one was asking for another I Know What You Did Last Summer film. You know, the first one was a really solid 90s horror movie. Its sequel was blah. And I know that we're out of ideas in Hollywood, and, you know, horror movies make money. But, you know, the original 2 movies weren't really that great. They were just so-so. And this one, again, dull. Dull, dull, dull. At number 6, Eternity. Now, I love Miles Teller. He was pretty decent in this. But this is one of those films that we've seen so much of this year. It was super long and super dull. I left the theater feeling nothing. It's a really boring experience. When it comes on streaming services, in fact, I think it already is, I don't know if I'd even recommend watching it.
Make it stop!
At number 5, Captain America Brave New World. Oh boy. Marvel, what the hell happened? I mean, remember when Endgame came out and Marvel was on top of the world? Now we're getting slop like this. I love Anthony Mackie as an actor. I think he's really solid, and he was a wonderful Falcon. But to make him Captain America, it just doesn't fit. He's not a super soldier. He doesn't have the super soldier serum. He's not all powerful. He's just a regular guy. And that could have even worked a little bit if we had a better script. This was just a long, bloated, overdone, CGI-heavy Marvel 2025 film with poor dialogue, stupid Marvel humor, and really surprisingly weak CGI. At number 4, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. Does anybody even remember this film? It came out earlier in the year. Now, in 2018's Den of Thieves is a really solid action heist film. It was entertaining as hell, but it wasn't like a big hit. Why they decided all these years later to make a sequel to it, I'll never know. Other than the fact that everything gets a sequel, even mediocre films. This is one of the most forgettable films I've ever seen. And the fact that it was almost 2.5 hours long is baffling to me. I almost didn't include it in this list because people listening to this are probably like, I never even heard of that damn film. And honestly, you're better off. Number 3, Love Hurts. Another film from early last year. You're probably sitting back and saying, hey Normie, what the hell is Love Hurts? Well, I'll tell you, Love Hurts was a romantic comedy action film. It came out back in February. It starred Ke-Huy Quan. And listen, I love that he's getting roles again. You know, it's good to see Short Round coming back. He was great in Everything Everywhere All at Once. But to make him a action hero / romantic lead, oh boy, I hope he got paid well for this. I really did. And I hope you never have to see it. I don't remember why I saw it. Maybe I was, I don't know, out of my mind one day, but I actually paid to see this movie, and it's money I'll never get back. At number 2, Megan 2.0, or Mithrigan 2.0. I thought the first Megan film was, was pretty solid horror. This, where to begin? Megan was the villain in the first movie. She killed a lot of people. In this one, they bring her back, and she's a good guy and a superhero of some sorts. Talk about, not understanding what made your first film successful. The first film was successful because Megan was a pretty cool villain. Why you bring her back and make her into the hero, I'll never know. It was a bit of a flop, and I really hope to God they don't make a third one. This one was a pretty bad movie.
And this one is the worst.
And number 1, the worst movie I paid to see in 2025 is Mickey 17. And it's a shame because that was one of the movies I was most looking forward to. It just seemed like an interesting premise. It's sci-fi. I love sci-fi. It's a new sci-fi franchise based off of a book. It was well casted. You know, you had Robert Pattinson, Mark Ruffalo, Toni Collette. It had all the earmarks of being a successful film. And the first quarter of it is decent, and then it just falls off a cliff. It's drawn out, it's long, it turns into this, instead of a sci-fi movie, it just turns into like a heavy-handed political message. The CGI, especially at the end, is so awful. It was so disappointing, and it was a major flop, and I'm glad, because it deserved to, because it sucked.
That was terrible!
Well, that's it. That's my 10 worst films that I saw in the theaters in 2025. Next week, I'll give you my top 10 films of 2025. It was another hard list to come up with because finding 10 great films last year was a difficult endeavor. Well, that's all I have for you this week. Tune in next week where I give you my thoughts and my feelings on whatever I've seen. In the meantime, click that like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a question, share this video with friends and enemies alike, and as always, thank you for giving me your valuable time. And I'll see you next week. Take care.